Welcome to another edition of Green is Good. We're so honored to have with us today Sher Kopman. She's the president and co-founder of Raw Foodz, and you can find them at rawfoodz.com. It's www.rawfoodz.com. Welcome to Green is Good, Sher.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, before we get talking about all the great products that you have, Sher, and your great company, and the yummy products that I got to try about an hour ago, I want you to share a little bit the Sher Kopman story, the journey leading up to the co-founding of Raw Foodz.
Okay, for sure. The whole idea that happened with our company started actually in mine and my sister-in-law's kitchen. We essentially saw a very big niche in the market, very healthy ingredients, things that people could help with digestion and metabolizing the foods that they're eating it on. And there was nothing really clean and unrefined out there. And we formulated these dressings to taste like homemade dressings, but super healthy, digestible fats. We start with cold-pressed olive, unrefined, unfiltered raw apple cider vinegar with the mother intact, and that keeps them naturally preserved. And then lots of non-aerated spices and seeds like hemp, chia, and sesame that make them creamy. So people aren't missing that creamy, delicious texture, but all of the ingredients within them is actually amazing for their bodies.
So how many years ago did you start having fun in the kitchen, whipping up some recipes that you then were able to start thinking, hey, maybe we have something here that's just more than from us and our families?
Sure. Everything started in 2009.
2009.
So the thought behind all of that and starting to, get our witch's cauldron out without the heat underneath, stirring it up in the pot and playing with different ingredients and just having a lot of fun making things that we were taste testing with friends and family. And we started with the salad dressings.
What was your first product?
We started with our Caesar Serenity, Glorious Greek, French Fusion, and Purely Poppy.
And this is 2009?
2009 is when we actually formulated them. In 2010, we started bringing them into local markets in Toronto. And that's when we first started getting into our first market, which was on the Danforth in Toronto, and then just quickly expanded into other health food stores and just natural product line places that carried things similar to ours.
Who made the sale to the first market?
My sister-in-law and I. So Michelle Cass and myself went in and met with the buyer there, and he fell in love, and within a couple of days it was in the store.
Tell me about the car ride back home.
We were super excited. We were calling everyone and just jumping up and down with joy. And, we're very passionate about what we do. So we take these things seriously, but at the same time, we have a lot of fun. And we have a great relationship. So we've always had fun.
And now do you have actually a warehouse in Toronto you run this out of?
Yes. So all the manufacturing and warehousing is in Toronto. And then we have an additional warehouse that we started up in Inglewood, California. And that services a lot of the U.S. business.
So let's talk a little bit about the last 4 years. You started with the 4 or 5 dressings. Now, how many products do you have right now?
So we have 11 in total. And so after those 4, we launched 3 more dressings because people were asking, maybe a Japanese would be nice, a ranch, and came out with the Italian because the Greek was really popular. So another more of a vinaigrette style. And then we brought out our buttery spreads because one day Michelle came into my kitchen and my husband and I were spreading coconut oil on our toast. And she just had this spark and said, there's no amazing alternative to butter. There's margarine and then there's butter, but this is the go-to. This is the in-between. This is the healthy alternative. So we formulated using cold-pressed coconut oil and olive oil and hemp seeds and put together this incredible whipped spread that is very buttery.
Sher, I had the pleasure, thanks to you, of trying that spread about an hour ago. It is one of the most delicious spreads that I've ever tasted in my 51 years on this planet. It was amazing. And knowing that it was good for me made it super amazing. So it was really, really, really special stuff. And you're just doing an amazing job. For our listeners out there that just joined us, we're so excited to have with us today Sher Kopman. She's the president and co-founder of Raw Foodz. You could find Raw Foodz and all the stores that they're carried in at www.rawfoodz.com. Let's talk a little bit about the stores. Now, we went from the first sale that you made. how many stores are you in now, or at least what brands? If our listeners are excited now and they're starting to get hungry, listening to all the yummy dressings you're making and these spreads, where can they find your products right now?
Okay, we are on all the Whole Foods markets in Canada and the Southern Pacific region Whole Foods. And everything is refrigerated, so you find us in produce or grocery, and the butters are in the dairy set. And then we are in chains like Mother's, Lassen's, Jimbo's, Co-Opportunity, Erewhon, and lots of health food stores. And of course, if you have a store by you and you want them to bring them in, please tell them that we have distribution all across the US and Canada, and stores can bring them in. So we want people to be asking for them.
That is so great. So you're in all the big chains right now.
Right now, yes, and just got
incredible.
into a really great chain in Canada, so we're excited.
Oh, wow. Just growing every year. Year over year, you're just growing.
Yes, and we keep intending on bringing out more and more products, and our latest product, which is our cheese sauce, has been very popular, so it's going to be in a store by you very, very soon.
Which for our listeners out there, I also had the pleasure of trying about an hour ago on a nacho chip, and it was amazing, the cheese sauce. That was really delicious. So why don't we share, a little bit with our listeners? What makes your yummy spreads, dressings, food products different? What are the ingredients, and why are your products different than the typical stuff, the iconic brands that we've all seen and grown up with advertising and that are owned by the big companies out there? Why are your foods different and better?
I'm happy you asked that. First and foremost, we are completely preservative-free and filler-free. So we don't have any corn, soy, gluten, nuts. A lot of low allergen ingredients go into our products, and we want it to be readily accessible for healthy convenience for everyone. And we also believe that in putting all the natural ingredients in there without the fillers and the preservatives, you're really tasting that fresh taste and great aftertaste, and you don't need to have the fillers and the preservatives. We use raw apple cider vinegar, like I said, with the Mother, and that naturally preserves them. Our dressings are good refrigerated for 10 months, the butters for a year, the cheese sauces for 8 months. So they have a lot of natural preservation and unrefined. So everything is unprocessed. Even the process that we use to make the products is completely raw, so nothing's ever heated. So you're getting all the natural enzymes, and nothing goes through any kind of a process with the seeds that we use. We start with whole seeds, and then they're blended, so all the minerals are intact. And the olive oil and coconut oil that we use is first cold pressed. So your essential fatty acids are there, and nothing is carcinogenic, and everything is really great and digestible by your body.
Talk a little bit about that, because that's something subtle that not enough people know about. What's the importance of those kind of oils and the quality of those kind of oils that you're using as opposed to the standard stuff that's out there today?
Huge. When you use a first cold pressed oil, you're cold pressing it in the sense that you're keeping everything that is meant to be in it naturally still present, and other oils out there like canola and sunflower and even olive oils that are not extra virgin or first cold pressed they go through a refining process, so they're heated and it becomes carcinogenic, and it's not properly digested by your body. So you're actually storing it as fat in your body, and a lot of bad fat, and it's causing a lot of problems and bad gut problems in people, and the health starts in your gut. So when you're using first cold pressed oils, which are essential for your body, and also you need them in order to digest the vitamins and the minerals in your greens, which are fat soluble. So when you use oils like olive and coconut that are first cold pressed, you're getting all of that and absorbing all the nutrients, which you will not be absorbing when you're using oils that have been refined.
And just to go over it again, all of your products are vegan.
100% vegan, 100% raw, and 100% organic.
You know, we love being solution-based on this show, Sher. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of avoiding overly processed foods today?
Of course. I think the biggest part is overly processed foods are often high in sodium and the bad sodium. So, table salt, and once again, things that go through a refined process. And it's basically junk food for your body. So when you're eating wholesome, pure ingredients that have not been heated or have not been treated, then you're once again giving your body what it needs, and you don't need as much of it because it's actually going to be absorbed and used as energy quicker than foods that have been refined. And so unrefined, unheated, untreated foods are going to be used instead of being stored, and going to be digested instead of sitting and, creating a really bad environment within the body.
As a mom and also as a woman entrepreneur, what would be your call to action for our listeners out there for the importance of considering a plant-based protein diet versus an animal-based protein diet?
I think you have to start slowly. I never tell people, go vegan. That's the only way to be.
Right.
I think a lot of people have a hard time. They're on the go. They have families. They have busy schedules. For me, I started off as a total omnivore, and then I went to being a vegetarian, but I've never really enjoyed eating dairy. It wasn't working for my body. So from a young age, I never had that part of it. But to become vegan was easy because I was transitioning naturally. And I find that a lot of people question the protein, where you get your protein from, and, am I going to be full enough? And it's so much prep work. But it's become so much easier now with companies like ours and many out there. There's so much healthy convenience and accessibility with all those ingredients, and everything from, your dark leafy greens, legumes. There's so much plant protein available to you just from things like that,
right,
which you don't need as much protein as people think that they do. And when you're eating a lot of greens and you're eating quinoa and you're eating beans and you're eating, sprouted tofu or tempeh, if it's something that you can digest,
right,
then, there's so many sources of protein, and hemp seeds and nuts. And, that's not in our products, the nuts, but hemp
right,
seeds and nuts in general are
right,
very high protein sources. So it's pretty easy.
Talk a little bit also about the marketing that exists out there in the world, both in the conventional supermarket world and even some of the health food world, where people talk about products being organic, but other people put this word natural on things, and it becomes very confusing in the marketplace to the consumers and to our listeners out there.
It becomes very confusing, and it's very difficult when you have people, big companies out there that are touting whole grain, natural, even preservative free. But really, when you break down the ingredients and you see citric acid and xanthan gum and a lot of ingredients going into the products that are really bad for your bodies and for children's bodies, especially right in the developmental stages, you really want to stay away from a lot of conventional things that are high in pesticides. A lot of crackers and cookies that are conventional go through so many pesticides in their growth that, young bodies are absorbing all of that. And it's a shame when there's organic alternatives out there, and a lot of them today. It's nice to see companies that are really looking at their ingredients and taking it seriously. And I find that, it's very difficult for people that are not educated with ingredients to, read an ingredient listing, and it looks very natural, and maybe sometimes they can't even pronounce certain ingredients or preservatives, but they think, the main top ingredients look okay. So they kind of stop reading and then they throw it in their cart. But it's important to read every single ingredient. And when the ingredient listing is more than 7 to 10 items, you have to start questioning, why do they need to put so much in there? What are they bulking it up with? And is that good for me?
So our listeners should be looking for organic and non-GMO.
Definitely.
And if they just see the words natural and nothing else, they should
beware.
Definitely.
Definitely read the ingredients.
Talk a little bit about why eating less is really more when you're getting the right nutrients and you're eating the right foods.
Well, essentially, when you're eating whole nutrients and whole grains and vegetables and things that are not overly processed or overly cooked, you're getting a lot of natural enzymes and vitamins and minerals, and it's going to make you full if you eat slowly and then you sit for a little while rather than, running back for seconds too quickly. You'll actually find that your body is using what it needs and absorbing and utilizing the nutrients, as long as the nutrients are really healthy from the start.
Where, let's have a little fun here. How many green festivals have you exhibited at, or is this your first one here in Los Angeles?
This is my first.
So talk a little bit about the Green Festival, why you and your sister-in-law decided to have a booth here today, and how it can continue to help get visibility for your brand.
I really like that it's an eco-conscious event. We package everything in glass. It's really important to me to make sure that people understand, manufacturing-wise, the importance of packaging and in certain things that are going to break down, help the environment recycle, and not affect the food that it's actually, the packaging is going to get into the food that you're eating. So you have to be very careful with a lot of plastics. And I know here they're really into compostable and recyclable. And I also like that they're non-GMO this year, and that they're really looking out for companies that are passionate about what they're doing for the environment. And that's really important for us.
Are we going to be able to see raw foods at other green festivals that are coming out?
Yes, we will be at the San Francisco show in November, and we're super excited about it.
Perfect. What are your other visions and dreams, though? Where can you now, you and your sister-in-law, take Raw Foodz? What's the vision of the months and years to come?
We want to keep bringing products out that people are going to get excited about. It's going to make it much easier for them to be healthy and hopefully, consider a plant-based diet. So we have sauces on the back burner. We have incredible cream cheese style spreads and dips that will be coming out in the next couple of months, and also some raw chocolate frostings.
This is it. This is really awesome. Well, thank you for being a guest today. Thank you for creating Raw Foodz and making the world a better place. For our listeners out there, it's www.rawfoodz.com. Find out where they're sold now, all the stores, Whole Foods and Lassen's and Irwan and all the other great stores across Canada and the United States. Sher Kopman, thank you. You are truly living proof that green is good.
Thank you, John.